Emberion was not like other dragons. He did not crave gold or hoard jewels. He was not fueled by rage or driven by greed. Emberion was a creature of wisdom and kindness. His scales shimmered like amethysts, catching the light as he soared through the sky. He made his home in a secluded cave, nestled high in the peaks of the Whispering Mountains. There, surrounded by ancient scrolls and the whispers of the wind, Emberion spent his days in peaceful contemplation. He watched over the world below, his heart heavy with the knowledge of the conflicts that plagued it. Humans, with their petty squabbles and lust for power, often forgot the simple beauty of the world. They waged wars, destroyed nature, and lived in fear of those different from themselves. Emberion longed for a day when peace might reign, but he knew that such a day seemed a distant dream. One starlit night, a crimson glow illuminated the horizon. Flames danced in the distance, painting the night sky with an eerie light. A tremor of unease ran through Emberion. He knew that such a fire could only mean one thing: destruction. With a heavy heart, he unfurled his wings and launched himself into the night, drawn towards the inferno that raged in the distance. As he flew, the air grew thick with smoke and the stench of burning wood. The flames led him to the kingdom of Eldoria, once a beacon of prosperity and peace. Now it was engulfed in chaos. Marauders, their faces hidden behind grotesque masks, rampaged through the streets, leaving a trail of fire and fear in their wake. Emberion roared, his voice a thunderclap in the night, as he swooped down to confront the invaders. The castle of Eldoria was ablaze. Flames licked at the ancient stone walls, consuming everything in their path. Screams pierced the night, a symphony of terror orchestrated by the marauders. They moved through the castle with a brutal efficiency, their blades dripping with the blood of innocent guards and courtiers. Their leader, a hulking figure clad in black iron, barked orders with a voice like grinding stone. Princess Seraphina, her heart pounding in her chest, watched in horror as her home was consumed by flames. She had always been a girl of courage and determination, but the ferocity of the attack left her shaken to her core. Her guards, loyal to the end, had fought bravely, but they were no match for the sheer brutality of the marauders. One by one they fell, their bodies littering the once pristine marble floors. Seraphina knew that she had to escape. She had to warn the neighbouring kingdoms of this attack, to rally their aid before Eldoria was reduced to ashes. But as she made her way through the burning corridors, a figure stepped out from the smoke, blocking her path. It was the leader of the marauders, his eyes glowing with a cruel light behind his mask. He advanced on her, his sword glinting in the firelight. "The princess!" he snarled, his voice a guttural rasp. "Your father's kingdom will burn and you will come with me." He grabbed her roughly, his iron grip like a vice around her arm. Seraphina struggled, kicking and screaming, but it was no use. She was dragged away, her pleas for mercy lost in the roar of the flames and the triumphant laughter of her captors. Emberion descended upon the marauders with a fury that shook the very foundations of the castle. He breathed a torrent of fire, scattering the invaders like leaves before a storm. His claws, sharp as swords, ripped through their ranks, leaving a trail of chaos and destruction in their wake. The marauders, their initial arrogance replaced by fear, scrambled to escape the wrath of the dragon. But their leader, clutching Seraphina tightly in his grasp, stood his ground. He pushed the princess forward, using her as a shield against Emberion's fiery breath. "Back, beast!" he roared, his voice strained with fear and desperation. "One step closer and the princess dies." Emberion hesitated, his eyes fixed on the terrified girl. He could not risk harming her, not when he had sworn to protect the innocent. Seeing his chance, the marauder leader shoved Seraphina towards the edge of the crumbling battlements. She stumbled, her eyes wide with terror as she teetered on the precipice. The flames roared behind her, threatening to consume her along with the rest of her home. Below, the ground was a dizzying drop. "Jump, princess!" the marauder leader bellowed, his voice laced with cruel amusement. "Let's see if your dragon can save you now." With a final shove, he sent Seraphina tumbling over the edge. Emberion acted on instinct. With a roar that split the night, he launched himself after Seraphina, his powerful wings beating against the smoke-filled air. He swooped down, catching her gently in his claws before she could plummet to her death. Seraphina clung to his scales, her heart pounding in her chest as she looked down at the inferno raging below. He deposited her gently on a patch of grass outside the castle walls, safe from the flames and the marauders. She looked up at him, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice hoarse from smoke and screaming. "You saved my life." Emberion lowered his head, allowing her to touch his snout. He understood her fear, but he also sensed her courage, a spark of defiance that burned bright even in the face of such devastation. "You are safe now, Princess Seraphina," he rumbled, his voice surprisingly gentle. "I will not let any harm come to you." Seraphina, emboldened by his words, straightened her shoulders. "They took my people," she said, her voice trembling with anger. "They took everything." Emberion listened patiently, his heart heavy with sympathy. He knew that words were a poor comfort in the face of such loss. But he also knew that he could not stand idly by while innocents suffered. "Tell me, Princess," he said, his voice low and rumbling. "Where did they take them?" Seraphina pointed towards the north, towards a cluster of dark and forbidding trees that loomed on the horizon. "Deadwood Tower," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "They took them to Deadwood Tower."